What's up? I'm Bart Rose. Welcome to my studio, Fort Worth Sound. Come on in. And this is the control room. I've got these two consoles here. Starting on the left, this is the Aurora sidecar, and this is a 10-channel 70s style Neve recreation by Jeff Tanner out of Hollywood, California. And so if somebody asks, do you got anything with that Neve vibe? I'm going to say, yes, I've got this Aurora sidecar, 10 channels worth of EQ and mic pre's. And if that's not enough, then I've got the 16-channel API 1608, which is loaded up. All the modules are full of equalizers. And then, of course, I've got a wall full of guitars, a lot of acoustic guitars, baritone guitar, handful of basses, bunch of Telecasters. These are all available for use by the clients. And I got a wall of guitar pedals over there, probably 60 pedals. All right, and here's the main room. It's sized at approximately 20 feet by 25 feet, and there's enough room in here for good-sized bands of, say, 5 to 6 members. The drummer is usually going to be right about here. That way he'll have a clean sight line to both of the booths over there where we might have a singer or bass player or fiddler or anything like that. Over here I've got a 5'2" baby grand piano. Got a handful of guitar amps scattered around the place. The artists can use those. And here's the headphone station so everybody can have their own personalized headphone mix. Set their volume where they want it without affecting anybody else. Pretty much standard stuff these days. And over here we have a Leslie rotating speaker cabinet that goes with the 1959 Hammond C3 organ. So the history of my music started in 1984 in the 9th grade, and I started my music career with being stuck in choir class. For some reason I had to have that, and that was all right. And then that same year I did beginner's music theory, and so I got a really good grasp early on, and it all kind of sprung from there. In 1985, as a 15-year-old sophomore in high school, I got a guitar and started playing a lot in my bedroom, and the plan was to be a rock star guitar god. Played for about 4 years, not really in bands, just by myself in the bedroom with the fancy flickering lights so I could feel like I was on a stage. Eventually, my dad, in an attempt to push me further and help me get better at what I was doing, he made a bet with me. He said, is there a song that you could play, a really awesome one that you could play, and if you nailed it, if you figured it out really good, I would reward you with $1,000 worth of whatever gear you want. I'm like, yeah, I could use a new amp. And I had my sights on this big stacked up amp because everybody had the big ones in the 80s. It was a Carvin amp of some sort. So I chose a song by Yngwie Malmsteen called Black Star. And boy, you know Yngwie Malmsteen is a shredder. I messed with that for about a week and I said, no, screw this. Dad, can I try a different song? How about Van Halen? So I ditched the Yngwie song and I chose Eruption by Van Halen. And I pulled it off pretty damn well. So he was going to give me the amp that I wanted, but then he made a suggestion. He said, what do you think about this instead? Because you've already got a couple of amps and you got some guitars. What do you think about a 4-track recorder, cassette recorder, and a drum machine instead, and you can start recording your songs? I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty good idea. So I opted for that. And then I started gradually figuring out how to record with that thing on my own. It was a Tascam 488 or something tiny. One of those little 4-track recorders with a cassette in it. Had high noise floor, a lot of hiss, but I managed to get 4 of my songs onto Q102's Texas tapes. Every Tuesday, Q102, the rock station that is now 92.5. Anyway, they would play a local artist each Tuesday night, and that's how I got my start in recording and getting my music on the radio. 1991, my dad made another genius suggestion. He said, why don't you go to recording school at this place in Ohio. It's called the Recording Workshop. It's 5 weeks, it's a short course, it won't eat up a lot of money and it won't eat up a year or 2 or 4. And you can see if you really like doing this before you invest too much time or money in it. So the winter of '91, went to the Recording Workshop in Ohio, got my little certificate, came back to Fort Worth, started hitting the streets, In those days, you still had to go out to the head shops and put your card and your poster that you made up in there on the wall so people could find out about you. Go to the bars, go to Joe's Garage, and go find those metal bands. Everybody wanted to be Pantera back then. So I ended up with a lot of those type of bands back in the early days. In 2001, I got a lead that on Bluebonnet Circle, a studio called Fat City, had become for sale. So I got in there at the right time, purchased that place, moved in 2001, 7 years there. So again, I found out about another place that could be for sale if I wanted it, and it happened to be this one here at 306 South Main Street. So that's what happened in 2008. In January of 2008, I got in here and within a week had everything wired up, ready to go. I had a couple of really cool bands in here. I think in February of that year, the Toadies came in with their producer David Castell, and we did the album No Deliverance in here. 14 years later, I guess, 2020, still here doing what I do.